Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a quick video looking at some evil commander options you can use on the RP side if you are free to play or a low spender. We've already covered the three commanders you see on the screen, and today in this video we're talking about 5 commanders that can fill into that 4th spot or maybe even a 3rd and 4th spot that can help support the damage going out by these guys in your lineup. Now, like I've said a few times, I do think the evil side is a little bit underwhelming compared to good, especially in the first couple of tiers. So it can be a bit grindy if you're starting and you're playing as an RP evil player. So just bear that in mind that if you want to take on the task of being evil RP, it's going to be a grind, especially if you're free to play. Now, last but not least, before we jump into the actual video, this behind me here is the top up link. If you've not heard me talk about it, this is an affiliate link. It's linked down in the description below, and you can make purchases through this link just like you would in game. So as you can see, all the gems you can buy here would be the exact same thing as if you went here and bought them here through whatever Google Play or Apple that you use. So you can log into your account and purchase them through this link. This is through NetEase. It's a legit thing. They do it for all of their games. The kicker is that it's an affiliate link and it does support the channel. If you use it, whatever is spent on here, I get a small kickback that helps me continue making content like this. It's actually cheaper in some parts of the world. It's no more expensive for anybody, but it's cheaper in some parts of the world. So depending on where you are, you might actually save money, but at the very least you break even and support the channel, which would mean a lot to me. So consider using this if you are spending. If you're not spending, obviously doesn't apply, no sweat. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff does help support the channel as well. So continue doing that, and let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, first up is going to be Glasha. Now, this should go without saying, but these will be a little bit more rapid fire since we're covering 5 of them. So buckle in here, and if you'd like more information on a specific commander, let me know in the comments below, and we may end up doing a deep dive on one by themselves if you guys have questions about them. But Glasha is a tier 2 or legendary commander. They're calling them different things now, but she's a tier 2 commander. The only caveat for her is that she cannot be unlocked unless you are in season 3 or beyond. For whatever reason, she's not available in season 1 or 2. She came out as a newer commander, again, what it seems like years ago at this point, but she has just not been put into the season 1 or 2 chest, at least as far as I could see in my season 1 and 2 account. So if it's different for you, let me know. But from my understanding, she's not available until you get into season 3. So that's the only caveat for Glasha. But the important thing that Glasha does is this Crabbind of Mount thing. It is for the first 4 rounds. Attack of 3 enemy formations is going to get up to -20, modified by her initiative stat. So the higher her initiative, the more attack it'll take away from enemy commanders. And the max level effect, level 10, gives her 5 more initiative. So again, we looked at this attack for lots of our physical damage commanders, the Lurtzes, the Agzoks, the Gimlis, the Aomers, so on and so forth. Anybody that does physical damage wants this attack, and Glasha is going to try and take as much of that away as possible. Now, it's not going to be a ridiculous amount, but it's better than nothing. So this is kind of her best support skill in my opinion. Now for her next skill, she has a couple of options, and if you have enough points, you could do a little bit of both. But first of all, she has this assassin skill, which is going to deal some poison damage. We don't really care about that much. The thing that's kind of interesting here is at the level 5 ability, it says during this time. So first of all, it says deal poison damage continuously to 1 formation each round for 2 rounds. And it says during this round has a 25% chance to succumb to madness, which confuses them and makes them have a chance to attack themselves. Now, it's not a high percent chance, but it's one of those things that if you could get 5 points here, it wouldn't be a bad thing. So again, we're not worried about the damage it puts out. We're just worried about having some madness that can kind of help control the enemy a little bit. So this is a nice ability that I would like to take up to 5 points if possible. And the remainder of my points will be going into Messenger, which for the first up to the 5 rounds, if you get it maxed out all the way, but up the first 3 rounds, normal attacks dealt by 4 enemy commanders. So every other enemy commander is reduced by up to, if you max it out, 50%, modified by her focus stat. Now, normal attacks aren't really the thing doing a lot of the damage. The Shadow is one commander who comes to mind that really does a little bit more normal than everybody else. So depending on the matchup, this can be more useful. But again, is it a world breaker? No, it's just going to be helpful to reduce some of the damage coming in. So if it were me personally, I'd be running Crabbind and Mount Fang maxed out. I'd have 5 points in Assassin and the rest of my points in Messenger. You could also forego Assassin since it's a little bit RNG and just go into Messenger, but either way, some combination of those skills is going to make her a decent support for your physical damage dealers. Next up is going to be Gothmog. Gothmog is also a tier 2 or now legendary commander. We're going to look at Gothmog really quickly. The skill we want to look at is Morgul Lieutenant. Now, as you've heard me say, I do not think troops are as viable in 2.0. Commander damage is the way to go, but we've got to work with what we have here for the evil side. And he has a little bit of backup here, which is nice. So first of all, it says for the first 3 rounds, attack and defense of orcs, urukai, and trolls in 4 allied formations, plus 15. It extends to 4 rounds. And then the last effect says siege damage of the commander's formation, plus 12%. Now, we've talked about running all crushers or all berserkers, whatever it is. So basically, if you're running all berserkers, this is going to give them a little bit more attack, a little bit more defense, making everybody's units a little bit tankier, a little bit hit a little bit harder, which is kind of the best support thing he's got going on. Now, the reason Gothmog is kind of a safe investment is because you're going to use him for siege at some point. So if you're in your second season just starting out, you can start investing in him to get his siege unlocked for a future season and just use him as a sort of support for now. So it's not like you're going to use him and then replace him. I mean, you will replace him, but you'll still use him at some point at R5. So there's no waste in investment here for Gothmog, if that makes sense. But for now, we're just looking at his support ability, this one right here, which boosts that attack and defense. Now, as far as everything else, there's just not a whole lot going on here. You can boost for small units, which does include berserkers, you can boost their attack by up to 10 more, modified by his attack stat. So a little bit more attack from this for 2 allied formations. Or you can run the crippled, which is a physical damage skill, so he could be sort of hybrid. But if you're just trying to fill a complete support spot, I'd probably run second in command with Morgan Lieutenant. But again, this being the big one that's going to give us a little bit more for our troops. Again, troops are not the way, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Similarly to Gothmog is Ugthak, so this will be pretty quick as well. But we're gonna go to Ugthak, and the big thing here is Warlord. It's not quite as good as Gothmog's, but it's for 2 allied formations, plus 15 attack. There's no defense here, so just attack. They do get some initiative at the level 5, and their siege gets buffed at level 10. Now, as far as his second ability, it's sort of splitting hairs here, but I'd run him as a sort of hybrid damage support. You can run Searing Axe, which gives him a 50% chance to deal an additional 300% burn damage. And then after attacking, his burn damage increases to that target 5% up to 6 stacks, so 30% extra. And then it also increases up to, I'm blocking it here, right there, level 60 at the level 10. So nothing crazy. The big thing for support is Warlord, but you can get a little bit of damage out of him as well with this ability. Next up is going to be Gorbag. Gorbag is a tier 1 or epic commander who can do some pretty good support stuff still. He used to be kind of a beast in 1.0, but unfortunately those days have come and gone. But what we're going to run here with Gorbag is going to be Watchman of Kirith Ungol. It says attack of 3 allied orc formations plus 14, but they have a chance of succumbing to madness. And at the max level, it's going to make him immune to that. So if you're running Gorbag, you have to just make sure you run orcs on your other commanders. So in this case, I'd be running all crushers on everyone. So just make sure if you're using someone who kind of buffs a specific troop type that you're actually running those troop types. So Gorbag does require you to run that specific type of troop. The next thing I would run on Gorbag would be Interrogator, which has a 35% chance to stun 1 to 2 enemy formations for 1 round. That's kind of all we really care about, to be honest. So we're just going to focus on that. But he's going to add a little bit of damage to your orcs if you're using them, as well as having a chance to stun the enemy formations. And last and sort of least is going to be Shagrat. Again, just trying to give you guys some options, because sometimes you might just pull one of these guys and want to know who has the most viability. So Shagrat is going to be thrown in here as well. He has the same Watchman of Kirith Ungol ability, which is for 3 allied orc formations. They get plus 14 attack. They have that chance of succumbing to madness, but it's going to get kind of cured, or they're going to become immune at level 10. So max that out. His ability next we're going to look at is Captor. It's going to give him a 100% chance to inflict stun on 1 formation, but reduces their damage received by 25% for 1 round. Now, it's not a crazy thing, but if you happen to land a stun on a commander who would otherwise do a lot of damage for 1 round, it's going to be kind of nice. So definitely going to use this to get a stun, here and there, but it's not going to be really anything crazy. And that is it for our kind of evil RP, free to play or low spending support list. That's kind of a mouthful, but it's these 5 guys you see at the top of my list here. Again, like I said, there are better options down the road, but for now you got to use who you got to use. So I would consider putting any of these guys into your lineup like you see up here. Again, my vote, I think Glasha is the best. I think the guys that do siege at least have good future viability, so you're not wasting investment. And these tier 1 guys can just be a filler until you get something else. But unfortunately, without looking into tier 3s, there just aren't as many good options for the evil side. But let me know who you guys are using. Do you have any other commanders you like to use with them? Again, I think these can work, but they're definitely scraping the barrel a little bit. So let me know what you guys think about them. But that'll do it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.